On this episode, it's been non-stop 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to finish Project Black Ice. There truly is no rest for the wicked, but I have my doubts if we're going to finish this car. I'm going to show you where we're at. Let's go. We are at the point where we're ready to do the exhaust system. We ordered a kit from Magnaflow. This is their builder's kit. Basically, it just comes with a bunch of random tubes and bends and straights. We also ordered the mufflers and we ordered the clamps. So we got these little V-band clamps from Summit Racing. Magnaflow also sells these, but they're twice the price for pretty much the exact same clamp. So if you're looking to source these, order them directly through Summit. It's the Summit brand. They're like $40 a pop. So we've got 8 different clamps, and then we just laid out our exhaust system. Nigel and I just kind of worked through it and try to figure out where we want to use the bends accordingly so we're not wasting material. And I think we can do the whole system with just buying one extra small 45 bend. That's it. So this is what we got going on. Coming off of our Hooker exhaust manifolds, we're gonna use this 90, and then we're gonna have a little jog in here, a 45 and a 45, kind of a dog leg into the straight pipe going all the way to the muffler. When we get to the muffler, we're gonna run it at about a 20-degree angle upwards, because we've got this big cavity back here, which used to be the Smuggler's Cove area originally on the body. But we changed that whole floorboard section, and now that allows us to have room for the muffler, which is great. So we can actually run an oval style muffler as opposed to the round, thinner ones. And this will just help dampen the exhaust a little bit more. And this is what they consider a straight through design. So I think these mufflers are flowing like 500 CFM, which is pretty good for an oval glass-packed muffler. And then coming off of the muffler, we're going to use this 180, and we'll cut it up, and that's going to come over the axle. And then coming out to the rear, we've just built the fuel tank, and the exhaust is going to run right between the chassis rail and the fuel tank. So this one's going to sit right in this range, and then this one is going to sit right about here, and that'll be our kind of our hidden tailpipe. So the tailpipe itself will be somewhere tucked in like this, but then we'll splice the bottom edge off so it's flush. So we'll have a hidden exhaust, and you'll just see the fumes come out the end of it. So yeah, Nigel's gonna build this thing up. Our goal is to have it done this week, and we'll have an exhaust system. Then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do to coat it or polish it. Still kind of undetermined. So watch as Nigel starts to fabricate and weld these, and I'm sure he's got some tips and tricks that you guys will learn something from. This is as simple as an exhaust system gets. 2 pipes coming back from the exhaust manifolds through some mufflers out the tailpipes. But the important thing here in spending time to design it and draw it out is that we don't want any of the pipes vibrating to hit the chassis, or any rattles or vibrations as the car is driving smoothly down the road.
Sometimes you can run like a 45 and all the straight angles and stuff, but sometimes you need a slightly different degree. So we have a 90 that we'll be using. So basically we're just going to, take out the degree that we need from anywhere out of this 90. So that's the 90. So we're probably somewhere around like that. So we just got to cut and trim the pipe. But we don't want to take too much, so we got to creep up on it.
Nigel is using a combination of tubing here, some straight 2.5-inch stainless tubing, along with what we call pre-bends. These are various angled bends from 45 to 90, and he'll splice these together to make one seamless tube.
We got our MagnaFlow exhaust with the V-bands. The V-bands are very nice, they're very sturdy and stout, so you want to make sure that everything is no gap and stuff when you weld it, because it'll just twist your exhaust. So you just got to make sure everything's all nice and flush, and you actually get a better weld too that way too, when everything's all nice and butted and no gaps. That way, when you weld everything, it won't twist and everything will stay the same. So I've got the MagnaFlow header all the way to the hooker headers. We're all the way down right now to the mufflers that it's going to go right here, and then we're going to have our pipe go above the axle. What's nice about these MagnaFlow exhausts is that they are a little magnetic, so you can actually kind of stick magnets to it to help you out whenever you tack it. Typically, it's nice when you have stainless that isn't magnetic. It's cleaner. I have right here, we have our 3/4 inch spacing. It's best just to put a 3/4 inch bar all the way across so that your exhaust will rest on it and you know that they're exactly the same height on both sides. So we got it both same on both sides, all the way to the mufflers. I got the turnout right here, and it's gonna hook up to a V-band, and we'll be able to go up and over axle. We'll have enough travel too, so it clears everything. Won't have any issues with right height and bouncing around. And then we'll just basically take another angle, and we are gonna go like this. Somewhere around like that. Let me get this better angle. So 1 inch spacing. We wanna make sure that we're away from this bar, 1 inch away from that. Exhaust does grow, as in with length. As it heats up, it'll expand and contract. So we want to take in consideration of all that movement. And we will have it here, hook up to the V-bands, and then all this exhaust will be able to go out. So another cool little trick is where this one lines up. If you were to take 2 pipes, you can kind of judge exactly how much you need to go over. So if you look at it, it's about right there, and that's actually a perfect spot for our exhaust to go through. We got a gap on both sides, clears everything, clears the brake lines. We don't want any vapor lock. And the best way to do a chicane is if you take 2 pipes, you put them together, something like that. So we know we want it like that. And then you would just turn this one over, and then you get your chicane. So you can kind of actually lay it on top. And if you look at it, that's our perfect 1 pipe over. You can typically just take 2 angles, cut them in half, and then you just turn them sideways. And our mounts will be coming in today, so we got our V-bands in there, and then we'll be able to mount everything, make sure all the gaps are all good, spacing, and that's it. With heat, things can expand, and as they cool, they do contract. So same thing with exhaust. And that's why these hangers are really nice. We don't want to ruin any V-bands or ruin any of our welds or crack the exhaust or ruin our headers or even blow some gaskets. And these will typically just, like on the top right here, will be something into the body, something like that. we'll have to bend. They have these 90s, and you can bend these any way you want, put them through, attach them to a bracket, and you can even put a nut on it. And then the one that goes onto the exhaust side will be a smooth one because we don't really need it threaded. It's not going to bolt anything. We'll just fully weld it on both sides.
With the front section of the exhaust system completed, Nigel moves on to the rear over the axle dumps into the tailpipes. Nigel has tacked every piece of tubing together on the car and then begins the removal process, moving each piece of tubing over to the welding bench to finish all of the stainless welding. But time is of the essence, so we asked Mr. Lee to jump in and complete a little bit of bench welding as well. Then the two begin the delicate process of heating the hangers and bending them around the tubing and then welding them into place. This is an area that I want to stress. In the past, I've seen these exhaust hangers break and the whole exhaust drops onto the pavement and drags as the vehicle is driving. So make sure you weld these hangers on very strong and stout.
So we're basically finished with, Nigel's finished with the exhaust, and we just need to add a crossover pipe. We have a few options, either a Y pipe, an X pipe, or an H pipe. An H pipe being straight across, simply making an H, an X, kind of them coming together and then running back into the exhaust, and then a Y pipe, which is just one coming in to the other one. For a street car, the H pipe will give us lower end torque.
Okay.
You know, it balances it out, it kind of helps tone, things like that. So I think we can get away with, you know, I'm happy just to put a little H pipe in here. Mm-hmm. Our struggle is that we can't, if we do connect these two pipes with a crossover H pipe, then we can't get it out of the chassis, the body of the chassis, because our gap is so small up here. So we're trying to figure out a way where we can put a little crossover H pipe in there and still disassemble everything. And it's looking like we might have to add more V-band clamps, which I'd like to avoid, but yeah, we might have no option.
So we make the decision to run a very simple H pipe, and as you can see here, we contemplated using the V-band clamp in the center, but ultimately we shied away from that decision. So Nigel finishes welding up the little H pipe, and we get everything ready to go to send out to Primo powder coating and sandblasting to have the entire exhaust system coated. So Nigel loads it up in his Jeep, runs it down, and 2 days later, we have a beautiful exhaust system. Check it out. We ceramic coated the exhaust manifolds in black. Every piece of exhaust tubing has been coated with a graphite gunmetal gray. And furthermore, we wrapped the entire underside of the exhaust directly under the floorboards with a titanium exhaust wrap in black from a company called DEI. Also, I wanted to stress to you guys that none of the products in our videos are sponsored. All of these products are paid for, and we use them on a daily basis, from the tubing to the mufflers, the exhaust wrap, the coating. In our experience over the past 15 years, these are products that work great for us. We hope that you can take some of our knowledge and apply it into your build. Hey, thanks for hanging out and watching the video. Next week, we drop the assembly video where we put together this entire 59 Chevrolet El Camino. It's basically like building a life-size toy model. So join us next week, Pacific Standard Time, 12 noon every Friday. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.